So at this point, I'd like to invite our artists, our bagole banemba kubiro obugalo, the bagole for the day. I'd like to invite Nicole Remus. Please come to the front. Olivia, Mary Nantongo, Katono Esther, Rona, where you, and Ganda. May you please, if the seat is not enough, I shall add more. So before the artists introduce themselves, we're going to have two performances. We're going to start with Nicole to share with us a poem, and after Nicole, we're going to have Rona. Why are you panicking?
Okay, so I think some of it will be in the artist talk, but the works that are in the show I made while I was in Tanzania. So I wrote this poem on the way to Tanzania in a bus. Yes, that's the intro. So the poem is called Kinundi, because at the time I thought I was in Naivasha. So when you hear Naivasha, it was in Kinundi. Okay, so it says, February is for Naivasha. The white butterflies chase after each other in Naivasha, conducted like a song by yellow dandelions. If I lived in Naivasha, I might just sit here all February, among the ash green of these young eucalypti. They have purple wildflowers here that grow up to my nose. I wonder what they smell like from my bus window. I'd like to frolic in Naivasha and run down the dry riverbed that the donkeys graze in. February is for Naivasha. I wonder what songs the birds sing at dawn, and if we might move to their music. If the breeze moves in concert with the birds. I wonder if you would miss me at the crack of dawn. If that might crescendo in the highest orbit, and the butterflies would land on my glistening skin and bring my heart down to their rhythm. How long would it take for these jacarandas to paint me purple? I walk slowly in Naivasha. I love slowly. Ask me, what's your paradise? And I'll say a tent in Naivasha and a kettle that whistles in an empty house. Good evening, everyone. My name is Rona, and I will be reading for you a piece titled Imara. Imara, who are you? The things you say you are going to do, Oina Amani, Bogedde bingi, olowooza onootereza ensi. She says she is weaving for the future. Someone, please introduce her. Imara, who are you? Imara, sex, female. Age, 4.543 billion years. Height, 23.88 million women. I is for Imara. I is for the ideals that sit on high tables, institutions that are there to inspect her, but instead incriminate her. I is for the immortal imposters taking up her spaces. I is for increasing her competence, getting rid of ignorant, politically impaired individuals that thrive on injustice. I is for the new generation taking initiative, investing, getting involved in improving her, insisting on integrity, insisting that things don't stay the same. M. M is for mothers. Mothers who started movements. Mothers who refuse to mind their own business. Mothers who lose their minds when their daughters are pulled into messes. M is for the mother who mourned when a woman remained motionless on the road, massacred by misogynistic men whose hearts are filled with malice. M is for the mad women who fight with might despite being undermined, who will not be minimized by masculinity. So make way, A. A is for assertive, accepting, aggressive, ambitious, advancing. A is for authenticity. She will never cease to amaze me. She will acquire astronomical confidence, ascend to altitudes that she has never been, all while encouraging an army of all like her. R. R is for what is right and her rights. Her rights have just been rediscovered and rectified. Her rights need to be reserved and reinforced. It's ridiculous how reluctant some are to her revolution, calling it an unrewarding rebellion. But she remains resistant. She will not relax until she is done right. A is for all. All the things she was, she is, and will become. All the things she no longer wants to be. All the things she wants and hopes to be. Imara, who are you? Imara, Gwani. The things you say you're going to do. Oinamani, Boge Devinji, Olozo Noted Zensi. So when they ask you who is Imara, you will tell them, Rona is Imara. Who is Imara? Who is Imara? Who is Imara? I am Imara. The things I say I'm going to do, iye nyina amani. Mogela binji na njageza ko okutereza ensi. Imara is all the girls and women like me. Imara is bold, Imara is strong, Imara is firm. Imara is bold, strong, and firm. Thank you.
So who's Imara? Okay, no, so who is Imara? Who is firm? Who's bold? Who is strong? Who's aggressive? So they've told us, I am Imara. So who is Imara? That means you're not Imaras. And there's a way they've decided to be in one corner. All right, so I'm going to invite Andrew Kagwa to take over the next session, and he will guide in introducing the artists. So today we are going to give you a pink seat. I know that he has looked like, yes, so today we're going to give you a pink seat. You're most welcome. Please welcome Andrew Kagwa for this session.
Hi, I'm Imara. I don't know if that works. Well, my name is Andrew Kagwa, coach and arts journalist, and we are going to have a conversation, a very good conversation about the exhibition, your work. But I think we shall start with a reintroduction of yourselves before we go any further. We are going to start, you can pass the mic and it will come like this.
You said the name?
Reintroduction of
Okay.
your name and...
Okay, hi guys, I'm Nicole Remas, aka Nikki Remas if you know me better from Instagram. And I am an interdisciplinary artist.
I'm Nantongo Olivia Mary. I'm a mixed media painter and a conceptual photographer.
Hi, I'm Cantona Esther. I'm a painter. I'm trying to dig into different concepts in painting. That's mixed media, but I'm a painter.
My name is Rona Nantege and I am a visual and performance artist.
Hi everyone, my name is Ganda. Those who know me through Instagram, I'm Ganda the artist. I'm an illustrator and a painter.
Okay, so the very first question is, it's not even a question. Yeah, we need to embrace that. It's not a question, conversation. Though I would just want to understand what identity means to you, because when you look at the curatorial note, it's a big part of the exhibition today. Identity, what does it mean to you, like in your own words?
Okay, I think for me, identity is a thing that sometimes we like to believe is fluid, but at times it's just like it's just hard to maybe know, to see yourself or to know yourself. So that's why it feels like it's fluid. Should I go on or I pass the microphone?
Oh, you say that. I don't even want to prolong it, but you say we tend to believe it's fluid. Okay, let's leave it.
What is identity? Usually the question is a bit lengthy for me, so I tend to have to sit and ask myself who exactly I am. I have to figure out what am I. And identity is something really mysterious to me, because we have so many things to figure out about ourselves. We don't know who we really are as human beings. So we have so much to figure out. We dig deep and figure out who are we as human beings, as identity. That's what I understand about identity. We're not sure what identity is.
I'm not going to be so different from her, but I think identity is what you think, what you attribute to yourself. Rather, at times we are confused with identities that are given to us by maybe the society. But I think we give ourselves the identity, and it's up to everyone to give us their own identities. Yeah.
To me, identity is multiple things. It's what you believe in, the things you stand for, what you like wearing, how you like having your hair. So many things contribute to who you are, and I disagree with Nikki. I think it can be fluid. We keep changing, so the things that you once liked in high school, maybe you don't like them anymore. Maybe you don't believe in them anymore. You change, and we're constantly changing. Though I would say there are some things that maybe, for some people, there are some things that don't change. Like if I believe that, I don't know the best example I can give, but there are some things that remain the same. Like I like my natural hair. That I believe I'll like it to the day I die. That won't change.
Quite interesting views from everyone. I would assume identity is a journey of self-discovery. Every minute, every second, every day, every year that goes by, we tend to discover more things that we like and outgrow some things. That's what I would identify as identity. Yeah.
Now, talking about your works, I would want to talk to every one of you about their works before we are very broad. Like Nicole, you use glass as a medium. Actually, not just glass. You use mirrors as a medium for this particular work. And of course, like I told you earlier, the very first time I saw it, I thought, okay, this could have been on glass, but it's on mirrors. What was behind the choice of you using mirrors for this particular work?
Okay, so it's interesting that we started off from the point of identity, because the first work I ever did with mirrors was actually a photo that I shot through a mirror. Like part of it was scratched off, and that was also about identity and how we get our identities get mixed up with the identities of people around us. So that started my obsession with mirrors, and it's been going on 3 years later now. But why I did it is because like this particular body of work is about self-reflection, and basically how we see ourselves affects how we see others and our place in society. So it is a bit of a literal interpretation, but I think it's like the right kind of literal. Yeah, the mirrors.
So we see ourselves in the artworks and we become part of it.
No, it's like yes, you're part of the artwork, but it's also a question about, so this artwork is my expression of like, because they're all self-portraits, so they're my expression of like, this is how I see myself in this world, and they're also questions of how do you see yourself. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. I've interacted with a lot of your work on social media and some of the exhibitions here. And I think one of the things I've always wanted to ask you, why is it very important for you to... Okay, English is not Englishing.
It is allowed.
So why is it
Express
very
yourself.
important for you to be the subject of your work?
English is not English. So in my works, I decided to use myself as a subject because usually when I'm going through certain phases in my life, I feel like it is the best way I can execute the theme that I want to talk about in my work. And it has been a bit of a challenge for me wanting to use a different model to explain what I want to talk about in my works. Because if I'm to use you as a model and I want to talk about anxiety, how best can I get an expression of you being anxious about something? And it's not going to be the way I want it to be. So me who goes through an anxious phase, I believe I can use myself because this is the expression that I want from me. This is the best way I can describe how anxiety is portrayed. I know it's not, to me, it's me as an individual. This is how anxiety is portrayed. But different people have their ways they express anxiety, depression, anything, whatnot. So that is why I decided to use myself as a muse, because I want, I'm communicating with my work. I'm going through that phase, and I guess, yeah, that's how I can best describe it, like using myself as a model in my work. Yeah.
Right. No, I'm also looking at the skies. It looks like it's.
Should we do some witchcraft?
We should. Esther, so your work explores the influence, like society influences on the traditional woman, something like that.
I use stories of traditional women, also those traditional tales,
Mhm.
to inspire me create those pieces of work. I combine those together with my experiences to create the pieces of work.
Is this like a journey, like is it like a journey of self-discovery for you?
I would say that my work changes, but most importantly, it's like exploring myself and also combining it maybe with stories of other people,
Mhm.
because it can't be the same. Someone may tell you a story and then I try to combine those two stories, mine and some are similar, some are totally different,
Mhm.
but that's what I try to explore in my work.
When I was looking at your work, I felt like you're experimenting a lot. Am I right to believe?
Yeah, I'm experimenting some of the works. It's been experiments in
Oh.
some of them.
You're experimenting like to find your actual voice, or
To find my true voice, to also find different medium to use in my works, and also how best I can present the message I want to pass on to the viewers.
oh, amazing. I'll ask you something, but let's first go on. Rona, you're a poet.
Yes.
You work a lot with poets. Okay, thanks very much for the poem and presentation before we started. How much does poetry and art influence each other when it comes to your case?
Not for the pieces exhibiting here in particular, but for some of my work,
Mhm.
yes, poetry does play a huge part. I'm still exploring the best way to combine my two crafts,
Mhm.
so it's something that I'm still working on.
So for this exhibition, your medium is cotton paper
Yes.
and watercolor. Truth, it's not the most favorable one. Like I used to do that in school and I hated it because I did not find it very favorable. So when I saw it today, it was like, you know how you look at something and you're like, wow, this is back. Everyone usually finds it easier to go for a canvas. You can easily roll it off a stretcher bar. Like, why this particular medium?
True, watercolor is not that popular. What I love about watercolor, it is my favorite kind of paint. It is very spontaneous. No matter how much you try to control it, the water will flow. You will make a mistake, but you have to make the layers. You have to, for a lack of a better word, go with the flow. And even when you have this idea in your mind of what you're going to come up with, it will never look as you've imagined in your mind. You're always getting these new combinations, you're adding these new layers. There are these little details which you don't see in any other kind of paint. And it's also never an easy fix. You know, with oil you can just put a layer over it and like, okay, I'll fix that. But with watercolor, all your journeys show. All the different layers, all the different phases of the work show because of the transparency.
So most of your work is landscapes. There is one monochrome one, which is majorly blue. But then there is one that I saw, it's like a village home.
Yes.
Why these landscapes? Why these particular ones?
I think I really love landscapes because I love the bigger picture. And I also love to imitate a feeling, a space. You may ask me where is this, but it probably reminds you of somewhere. Like you said, the landscape of the village house. How did you know it was a village? It reminded you of somewhere. It reminded you of a certain place you've been, and it can be anywhere. That's what I love about landscape. They take you to a place and a feeling and a memory.
All right. Hey, Ganda. I was looking at your work earlier, and of course, one of the things that stood out were the long necks. Of course, why I noticed that is because we had an exhibition here where people had exaggerated features like hands, but that was specifically about the Dinka. So I just want to understand, in your case, were these exaggerated features inspired by any particular people, maybe from Uganda or from Africa?
Well, from the beginning, we all know that most of the people who are very tall or long come from the northern part of the country. Am I right about that? Most of them that come from the northern part of the country. So, I know, but on a scale of 1 to 10, I think it takes the bigger percentage, right? So it's quite an interesting perspective, as I told you, that we have quite a variety of different people and the different way they look. That stands out for me. Yeah.
All right, now opening it up. Looking at this exhibition happening 9th, that's a day after Women's Day. If there is one thing most people have said about collective exhibitions that bring together women, most of the times they somehow tend to be sad. Like they tend to address sad things for some reason. In fact, I was asking someone this week why most of them are sad. Why is it usually easier for, I won't even say easier, I don't know if that sounds right, but most of the issues that we face in the society when it comes to being expressed by art, it's usually the women that end up talking about them, the mental health, the abuse, the struggles people deal with. Why is it usually, okay, I would say easier for women to actually talk about these things than
And
other artists?
well, I would say naturally we are emotional beings. And scientifically proven, women were more emotional than men, so I guess we have a better way to express things that we feel, which makes it easier for us to put it out there. But in this specific exhibition, I'm really glad that everybody here is just talking about the nice part of life, the happy part, the good part. Even me in my work, the serenity, the harmony, and nature is what I'm looking at, the brighter side of life.
But is it all happy? Like, I mean, they can tell us.
Is it really?
Is it all happy?
I think that would depend on the viewer. The viewer can, how you interpret it. It can remind you of something good, it can remind you of something bad.
Intentionally as you're making the work, was it on the other side or?
I wouldn't say happy or sad, just a place.
Okay, specifically for me, it's about that part of life. I'm looking at the brighter side of life and the harmony that I wish I could have and I try to create always.
Alright, I would like to hear from these guys.
Well, I'd like to ask you a really strange question. Why is it that there are more women in church than the men? Why is it that there are more women in church than the men?
I have no idea. Like, I'm not in church.
You don't pray.
I pray from home.
What's your answer? Yes,
You believe in hope.
I do.
Who always look for more faith?
Women.
And who look for more hope?
Women.
Then men are always looking for what?
Problems.
So what?
Problems.
And you are the what?
So where are the problem, eh? No wonder you stress yourself out drinking. Can I answer you? Can I answer that? First of all, I don't think there are more women in church than men. But anyway, in any case, women are kind of like solution finders or something. They're always looking for solutions. And sometimes we find comfort in God. So as a woman, you're always trying to find a solution to the problems at home. Like he said, men are not so emotional. We women are very emotional and we always want to fix things. So I think more women find comfort in God, you know, because they feel like maybe he can fix some of the things they cannot fix. I agree. So there's your answer.
That was the question. But, if we're talking about if my work is happy, I don't think happy is a word I would use. Yes. But I was like, I think it's easier just for creatives in general. I don't think women, if you just look at music that's out there, it's always easier for people to create from the dark places, the painful ones, the difficult ones. It's easier to create from those points than, for example, like there's a time I was literally trying to create like artwork that like represented joy.
like just like this undeniable joy, and it was so hard. It was really, really hard to do. Like, no jokes. Poets, who has ever written a joyful poem, it's hard. It's very hard. So I think that is a general problem with creatives and not just female artists.
I will, to top up on what Nicholas, I mean, I think I feel like we pay more attention to those really painful moments that we go through, and I feel like they inspire most of us more to create works than being happy. So sometimes when we're too happy, we even forget that, like we have to create, like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy. Even go drink, like, oh shit, I have to create work. But then like you're so depressed, like start splattering, you even want to break the canvas, you want to break the brushes, you're so angry. You know, it's like there's so much more power, energy, motivation in the painful side of it. Even when people, I've realized even the performance artists, when they're performing, you look at their facial expressions, it's like more of pain than happiness. Like you can feel the pain, the vigor, the whatever, everything. But happiness, in terms of in their performances, it's like a bit short-lived. But like, when you even ask them like, oh, what inspires you to do this kind of performance? Like, I'm going through this certain phase in life, and it's the only way I can express myself. So, as Nicole said, it's really difficult for us creatives to perform when we're to create a certain art piece in the happiness phase. So the darkness, because we pay more attention, we sit there in a corner, and like our brains are boiling, and we're like dying so hard to create because we've gone through a really devastating phase in life. Yeah.
I'd like to add that happiness is very easy to talk about. When you're happy, you're telling everyone. But when you start having a conversation about a tough situation that's happening, it's very hard. And that's why we have art. Art is very expressive. It's saying the things that you have trouble saying. So I would say that could also be another reason why artists find it easier to talk about the more difficult, the sad parts of their life through art. Yeah.
I also think that this expressing ourselves in that way, we are using art to communicate. If we talk about happiness, of course we are expecting to be happy, to have a good life, so I think it's normal, it's good. But we also have to talk about the challenges and maybe see what steps we can take to solve them. And also I think for us women, it's easy for us to pour out maybe our emotions, but men, they cover up everything, and you think like they're not suffering. That's why they complain that there's a lot of what can I say, English? Like women complain, should I say, is it like they want to show a lot that they are going through a lot more than women, like the things of women empowerment, stuff like that. For men, they keep quiet, they don't pour out what they are going through, but for us, we come out with, I think that's the best way we can do it, through art. Yeah, that's what I know.
Okay, so when I get what all of you are saying, one, expression is usually more effective when it's coming from a dark place, and probably people do not even care about expression that's coming from a happy place. And yet, when you look at Ugandan art, now I'm not talking about visual art, I'm talking about everything, including music and everything. Literally everything people are giving us is showing us life is good. I mean, what they are giving us is telling us life is good, like kuchakala na kubwa, things like that. So most of the times you find art talking about these difficult things, but I keep asking myself if the people that are supposed to consume and understand it actually understand it. Because in Uganda, people think art is a bit elitist. So do you think people actually understand what you're trying to say? The Ugandan people? Like, that's any of you.
They have to speak to us in order to understand our work. Yes, come find out. Don't jump to conclusions.
The thing with art, it can be interpreted in multiple ways. Just like how, in high school when you read a poem, everyone writes about what they think the subject matter is. Sometimes it's so different from what the writer was thinking in that moment. I don't think art should be one thing. Everyone has their different interpretation, and that's what makes art a beautiful thing. So I don't think that most art in Uganda is happy, I would say, or kuchakala and everything. It's just everyone has different things that they consume. There are people who only listen to sad music. There are people who only listen to happy music. What you consume will probably give you a different perspective.
Can you repeat the question for me, please?
Do you think people understand the messages you're sending through art?
I guess they do. One thing I remember I asked you, is what does my work speak to you? Because I would love to know how you feel about the work, because we all have different ways we interpret things, and most people, we almost had the same feeling as I was creating the work. So people get what we talk about. But when we say that most work is about kuchakala, kubwa, and pakakulia bubi, it's not a lie, but I guess people create some of those works in the various perspectives, music, poetry, to get out of that dark place. They create something that will give them hope. If you listen to it, it's of hope. It may refer to the previous dark space, but it's for hope, which I think you may interpret as only happy times. What do you think?
Okay, I think not everyone will understand, and not everyone will understand the message we intend to their work. I personally think not everyone will understand, and it's okay. For instance, in the music industry, they used to sing that there are some songs I don't really understand, and then you find someone is speaking a lot of meaning from them. It's really okay. Those who understand, it's okay for them to understand, and those who interpret them in different ways, it's also okay. Art, I think, is meant to be in multi perspectives. So for me, on my side, most people understand my work, that it looks like it's connected to me and it's right. And I think the reason why we have these art statements and profile also helps maybe people to know about what the work is about. But if they don't have access to that, everyone will interpret it in their own way, which is also fine.
So my analogy to art is that some art is like a shot of whiskey. Probably sometimes you will look at it and the mind will not process it, but then probably if you give it a second look, it will actually make more sense. But before I open this up to the public, I'm a journalist, so there are some questions I'm really tired of asking people when I interview them. But I'm going to go to one of those questions. And why I go to one of those questions is before coming here, I was in a rehearsal, a theater rehearsal. People are putting together a theater production, and as we were talking, we're like, oh, I'm not seeing so and so, and they're like, that one left and went to Dubai. They got frustrated with theater. And in the conversation, I learned about 10 of the fine actors that I really enjoy have actually left the art because they find it frustrating. Now, visual art, music, like people keep leaving art. But when it comes to visual art, the number of women that leave visual art for other things is alarming, and you might know that. So I'm going to ask a question I rarely ask because I hate it, but what do you see yourself in 5 years?
Ask another one.
Okay, well, I know that I will still be an artist. That's it. That's the end of the statement.
Everything is a journey, and I'm waiting to see where the journey takes me and how much I can put in.
I'm also an artist. Maybe I think for lifetime because it's a decision. Very many times I've done different things. Actually, even this exhibition, I wasn't aware that I was shortlisted. But every time I try something different, I find myself coming. But like an opportunity comes to me. Like I find myself coming. I find myself like an opportunity or someone is like, can you make me a painting, something like that. So this year I believe, when I got this call, I believe that I'm meant to be an artist. So it's a decision.
I know you want to hear us saying, you know, in 5 years I'll get married, cook, have children. We're making kids, eh?
It's a good feeling. That's why we are existing.
Once an artist, forever an artist.
Okay, I think in 5 years, okay, what I'm really looking towards is, for myself, is actually building a practice that brings all my interests together into one. So like if I'm doing like the art, and yeah, let me just like drop my other things here in case there's clients. I'm an architect. So I'm a curator as well, a poet, moonlighting as that also. So it's like I'm seeking a direction where all these things have synergy, and that will like, you know, become like a direction in life. But like as for where I see myself in 5 years, like there's no this like picture where it is like check. No, it is no.
No, that's a question that very many people we interview literally hate, and most of them have said it's a very stupid question. But for arts purposes, I'm bringing it back. Like these days when I'm interviewing people, I've brought that question back because we have very many artists that do not see themselves as artists even in the next 2 years. So I will open this up to you guys. You have a question, you just put your hand up and the mic will reach you.
What inspired you to start making art? Like, did you know from a young age, or did it just like happen to like, oh my god, I can make art or whatever? Like, what inspired you?
You know, when you're a child, I always have this belief that as children we are naturally talented. But like as we grow up, there's certain things that we start figuring out. Now, me, as a child, I didn't even have art in mind. I only admired my father because he was a doctor, you know? And like, you know, when you're kids, you're looking up to someone bigger, like, when I grow up, I want to be like my dad, you know? And then like, as you start growing up, slowly by slowly, you learn these subjects and you're like, what the fuck is this? I didn't sign up for this. So, we also have, that can also come from families, the families also, now for me and my family, I had a relative, my brother, who was really a big art guru. So I was fascinated by that. And rest his soul, I decided to take his legacy. And I've also had this fascination with paintings, especially from different countries, how how back in the days paint was manufactured and stuff, and I figured like you can actually create these things yourself. So as I started deciding to do things myself, like doing mixed media, experimenting, exploring, that kind of stuff. So I guess that's where I got my inspiration from. Yeah.
I was inspired by, I think, the family I come from. I'm the only girl in the family. So I was always expected to do things as a woman, which was hard for me. And I felt it was limiting me. In the past, like during my childhood, I don't remember myself being so artistic, like doing art so much, but I was really good at it. I used to do it in school, but I didn't have so much passion for it. But as I grew up, and I think I attended one exhibition, and I was really fascinated by how art speaks. Like people are talking things I don't understand, the messages in art, like in the arts. And I was like, this thing is really, I don't know, I can't understand this. So I wanted to do something that is really different. I know they don't expect women to be in art because you have to have a family, you have to take care of home. I said I'm going to do this, and I'm also going to have a family.
I think I've been an artist since I was a child. Always drawing, always making noise. My first career aspiration was to be a singer. And if you ask any of the people who I grew up with, I would shout, like loudest. I was always singing. But imagination really, and trying to make your imaginations reality. Obviously, you don't draw it the way it looks in your mind. You have little to no skill, but I've been an artist since I was a child.
I was born an artist. I have no inspiration from anyone, but maybe I have a sister, a brother, and I didn't even know that art existed, but I just used to draw. I didn't have to look up to someone to be that. I believe I was just born to be an artist. And sort of, it was coming all easy for me. Yeah.
Nicole?
I was also always putting things together. I would not say maybe drawing, but putting things together. And like from all the way from childhood. So I really did start drawing at a young age. But if you ask me now what inspires me, it is actually like the expression of it. Because like as an adult, there was like a period of time where I didn't do any art. And it felt like I had lost my therapist. Yeah, so I think the inspiration for me comes from like that expression and like sharing things and getting them out. But yeah.
By the way, how did you come back? Like your process of coming back into art, how was it like?
I don't think I was ever like out of it. I was like on the outskirts. But it's like I was just looking for something that I guess something that spoke to me, like maybe not even just the creation style, but even the type of art I was making. Because I think I was doing watercolor at some point, I was doing mixed media, I was doing all these things, and they were pretty, but I had no attachment to them, you know, so I was just looking for something to attach to.
All right, anyone who has a question, you can just put your hand up and shall bring the microphone to you.
I think it's all of you. Okay. So you experience the so-called burnout. What do you do, or because I know for me during that phase or during that time, it's more of like, am I going to go back and do this art piece that I really wanted to complete, but I don't feel like doing it anymore because I have this burnout. So how do you manage to complete your pieces and not just leave them there when you experience the burnout sessions? Yeah, I would say that.
Since I'm holding the mic, I'll start. I used to have a lot of burnout when I was doing more hands-on type of art, like when I was painting, like with acrylic, or like I had a canvas, and that one naturally takes a long time to do. So that is when I used to experience, maybe not even burnout, but like loss of interest, and I would just leave it. But that's also mostly like where you create from. So like for me, like the kind of work I'm making now, since I'm doing like a lot of digital work, it's like if I can be in that place and create it, and 3 hours later I have it, and then the actual execution doesn't need me to be as like invested, you know, like you can do it well burned out because you're just applying and doing some cuts, and you're like it's just practical work. But I think sometimes also people experience a lot of burnout because you might even be maybe in the wrong media, like maybe this is not your actual creation style, so it feels exhausting instead of rewarding.
I do experience a lot of burnouts, yes. All I do is take a break, rest, go easy on yourself, and once you feel like you're in the mode of creating, go ahead and create.
It used to happen to me sometime back, but what I do nowadays, I plan what I'm going to do, and the sketches, I was not good at sketching at first. I'll just get an inspiration and feel like I want to start painting immediately. Sometimes I wake up at night, I always have my ready canvases and start painting. I feel I want to complete that one immediately, maybe the next day. But what I do, I give it time. Even if it means I should stop, I stop and then proceed when I'm ready. That's what I do.
Walk away from that piece, sleep, wake up, and maybe it might change your perspective. Work from somewhere different. Sometimes it's the space you're in. Sometimes you have to, I don't know, paint from the grass. And then pray. Sometimes saying a prayer helps. But don't force things. Usually the work where you overforce things, you end up spoiling the work. And also even particularly for watercolor, if the water is not it's not flowing properly, leave it alone, let it dry, come back later.
Well, I would advise you to get hobbies, things that you do to relieve you from the burnout. Now for me, I exercise, I go to gym, so sometimes I come back fresh to do the piece or whatever I'm working on, and also taking a break. It's not bad in case you don't feel like working the following day or the next day, but just have the discipline to resume.
Like most of you have worked with colors at least. When do you actually consider the work complete? Because for a painting, most of the times it looks like you can add something to it. Like when do you say, now I'm done, now it's done?
For work to be complete, I believe it depends on your perspective. If you feel like that's the execution you wanted and it has reached where you really want it to, that means it's complete for you.
As a watercolor painter, I struggle with this a lot. I always feel like I can add something, I can add a layer. I just have to tell myself, okay, that's enough. Because sometimes you do too much and it doesn't work out. So
I only feel like at that point when I feel work is done, I already have nothing to add to it, and at that point I'm already tired of that work. I'm tired of like working on it. At that point I feel no, I'll just spoil it. Most of the times I prepare and think I'm going to do everything I did in the sketch, but things change, and then whenever I feel this work, I have nothing to add to it. It's done.
You've answered my question. You've answered. Exactly, like it's like your gut. You look at something like, maybe I could add this, But nah, I'm going to spoil it. It's like once you feel it's done. Leave it. That's how I feel like I've finished this piece.
Yeah, there's that moment where you just be like, just back away slowly. Then, yeah, but Olivia's right, you just have to know, because sometimes it's like you can add this, you can add this, you can add this, you can add this, but it's just like, why?
Like why?
Yeah, so I think you have to trust yourself to know that it is done, because sometimes even when it is not done, like the point at which it is more effective than when it is finished beautifully and done this way. And
hello, ladies. I'd used the word girl, but it was disrespectful. I'm sorry for that. I happen to be the vice chair of the Artists Association, which is Uvada. But my concern is, first of all, I would love to see you guys practice more and more. Because I know right now there is that part of you that is here. I can see each one of you with so much energy, but you know the challenges of being a woman. Eh? Don't forget that bit. At a certain point, you don't know the control. As he had mentioned, you somehow turn them down, but so many forces are out there. That's why you fall out. With respect. There is that time when each one of you fall out. Unless you're so strong, okay? I don't want that to happen, but my word of courage is, they are nice works. No one is copying somebody else. They are fresh styles. And one thing I would ask, if you can share numbers and keep together. I know it's hard because, I don't know, you need to know each other first, but keep the numbers and keep together. I think that's another way of keeping artists, like you can hold each other's back, wherever, you know. It's something that I think that can start with you guys, and also it will encourage other female artists to tag on. Yeah. But last, I would want to ask a question, just to be sure. I can see you have a lot of energy in your works. Yeah? Have you researched so much on the materials you're using? How will you sustain, your styles? Because we want to see more of whatever each person is doing. Have you researched much on the materials you're using? Can you access them here easily? Because as an artist, materials sometimes also are a factor. You may be so creative and all that, but materials, Yeah.
Okay. Well, to me, with my work, I've been experimenting with only one thing. I've been using this phone, and sometimes it gives me pride that the people who have all the equipment like cameras and everything ask me, how do I do this? So I ask them this question: how well do you know your phone? Like, how best do you know that iPhone you're holding? How well do you maneuver with the apps and whatever? Because this ain't no iPhone, so things are expensive. I'm not going to sacrifice my kidney. But eventually I'll upgrade. But yeah, of course, I believe I have done some research in some of these things. I do have my inspirations when I do these works, and there are times where I feel like maybe I'll have to upgrade. People have given me ideas on like maybe you should continue using a camera, and like there are times I'm a bit stubborn and I'm like, you know what, I'm comfortable with this small thing of mine. And but obviously as time goes on we keep learning, so I know I'm willing to learn, and I will learn. I know it will be a challenge for me to use these really sophisticated machines, but I'm willing to learn. And yes, as you said, the materials in Uganda, they're really hard to access, including a phone itself, man. As I said, you have to sacrifice a kidney to buy a camera, an iPhone. People are chopping off their legs to get these really expensive things, and like, to me, I am grateful for the fact that I have this. I've managed to afford this, even if it has been like really hard for me to get the money to buy it. But like, while I have this, let me take the initiative to study what applications it has. Just like I'm a painter, just like in painting, materials are really expensive. We even starve. We even end up eating our own paint, eh? But you think outside the box, yeah, because there's some materials you don't have to really depend on, like, oh yeah, I need this exact material to get this work done. You can create it yourself. You can make it yourself. Think without the box. Don't think outside it, think without it. Imagine that if I don't have this, what is the solution? What can I do to achieve this? That's something I want to create. So get your mind boiling, figure out how I'm going to get, maybe how can I, it doesn't have to necessarily be paint. You can use this nature to create that certain art piece. Just like, I think I've exhausted it. My brain is frozen.
Yeah, I mean, Olivia said all of it, but I guess research-wise, I think also collaborative efforts. Yeah, because it's like what you don't know, someone can do it in like 2 seconds. When I was just starting to work with the glass, I was like, had all these ideas of how I was going to do it and how I was going to mount it, and I spent one day at Chidauli, the community studio, and I was just like, yeah, all my ideas were utter crap. Yeah, so collaborative efforts will save you a lot of time and money and I guess brain space. But yeah.
Okay, I think reliable material is really good. I've been using acrylics for some long time, but at some point I want to now experimenting to see which material really suits what I do. So I'm in that phase of experiment. I haven't found it yet.
I do a lot of research on my media. Although one of the qualities of a good artist is being able to work within your means, it is nice to get different materials. I'm going to talk about paper right now. Now, for watercolor paper, the quality of watercolor paper in Uganda is really not that good. Very few supply stores bring in the very good paper, and when they bring in the very good paper, it's cold pressed. And me, I like hot pressed paper or rough paper, which has more texture. So when I can, I try to get paper from abroad. When I can't, obviously I use what's available to me. But yeah, I know my stuff.
All has been said, but for as long as we can access the materials, we shall use them. If it reaches a point and we can't see canvas, we shall use stone.
Hello, Alan Chapon is my name. First of all, I would like to thank Sesson Art Space for together this exhibition. I probably think this is one of the most interesting conversations from this setup, or from a setup of artists. Particularly, it is, and to me, it's the talk has been so much inspiring. I don't know if everyone is getting that. You might take away much more to learn from, or much to. go on and kick off with if you thought something wasn't positive enough, based on what the ladies have been saying. I'm kind of making my remarks in a thankful way, because I could see, or I can see experiences which are past 50 years, sitting there from the statements of I've been doing art from when young, probably at 2 years or 3 years, and trust me, that's very inspiring, even though we weren't there. However, my question would be, or my major statement to make would be, how would you go on and advise someone who hasn't had an opportunity of listening to the whole package that you've shared with us today? It's rare to find all that package in a space of 30 minutes and 30. How would you go ahead and try to keep sharing with them, after today, even though it is not them seeing your artworks? Thank you.
Well, first of all, always attend the opening day of an exhibition. There's always a lot to learn from the artists. Buy the catalogs, plugging you. Message us on our Instagrams. We can always respond to any question. Right? Yeah. We can always respond to any question. Yeah, that's what I can say, really. Feel free to reach out to us. Visit galleries, visit exhibitions. You'll be able to find out or learn something new.
She has said it all.
Hi. So before I ask my question, there's something that's really been funny. The introductory conversation on sad and happy art. It's a good conversation to have, but in my head I just kept on thinking, why are we forcing this thing to fit in some sort of binary system? Because if this art is an expression of an individual is not summed up by one emotion. So for me, when I look at that art, and maybe it's primarily, it could have elements of sadness, but then I see elements of also emotions go way deeper than happy and sad. So that conversation was like, why are we putting this in a box when we are thinking without the box? And also, I don't believe women are more emotional than men. I don't know what emotional means. But to get to my question, I know Rona, and you said you are an architect, so I guess you went to School of Architecture. So my question is on your backgrounds as artists. Does it make a difference if you have a background in academia and then there's someone who's just started studying it or educating themselves, maybe University of YouTube or through experimenting? How has your experience, like Corona, from the academic experience, how does that, how do we see that in your craft? And for someone who hasn't necessarily gone to school or university, how does that, I hope that question is clear, but yeah, your backgrounds and how they reflect in your work.
So yes, I completely agree on the non-binary side of emotions. Yes, so thank you for actually opening up that topic as well. But as for backgrounds, I would say they do affect, because there's this whole idea that if you go to school for art, by the time you come out, you're in the style of your school or in the style of your professor or this. There is that. So some people say that self-taught artists are freer in their expression. But then for me, speaking personally from myself, I didn't go to school for art. I went for architecture, and they break down design and creation into a very these are the steps. This is how you follow it. This is how you reach the end. And this is how your concept is going to come out. And for me, I feel like it actually frees me up even more because it's giving me tools to actually make my message more powerful or more communicable than if I had done a different course or if I did not have that background. So yeah, speaking just for myself, I think the two are a very happy marriage, an architecture background and art. Yeah.
I think not going to the art school is important. Going to the art school is important, but at the same time, it won't limit you. If you have not gone to the art school, you can still do art and pass on whatever you want the viewer to see. So according to me, my experience, art school has helped me. Maybe it shaped me. I got even to know about like the history of art, something I wouldn't take time maybe if I didn't go to art school to research about, you know. So that time I was in school, I used it maybe to do those researches, the basic ones, although you can still do the research right now. But I think it doesn't limit you if you know what you're
I agree that it doesn't limit you whether or not you've gone to art school, but from my experience, I have learned a lot and I've been able to be in an environment with multiple artists. So you can be inspired, you can get new techniques, but then also the limitations, the time constraints, the rules, you have to stick within a certain box. You find that if you're being lectured by someone, all the oil painters, their paintings look similar, and you can mistake someone's work for someone else's because there isn't that identity when you're all in one place. Yeah, I would say the time constraints and also the limitations, they limit me, but you can succeed either way, honestly.
Well, one thing I would just love to maybe think about, why do we really have to put these things separately? People who are going to school for art and people who haven't, why do we have to do that? All is art, all is a form of expression. We all grow up from different homes, hence having different ways of expressing ourselves, which doesn't mean that we are not all people and we don't do things almost the same way. So I believe that our experiences, the way we live, where we stay, home, the people we meet, they shape how we express ourselves. So I believe that doesn't have anything to do with going to school and not going to school, as we put it in quotes, school and none. Is it called self-taught art? Well, they praise them, and every aspect is praised, but I would love to think of it in this way, that all is art and we should appreciate and not draw even divisions between the two, because it's not my first time to hear such a question come up. I would love it to be the same. Let's just take it that where we go, what we do and what we face brings up what we create.
Oh, and I would also like to add that art school definitely doesn't teach you everything. Like, it really does not. They just give you prompts and then you explore on your own.
Maybe art school just create, should we call them shortcuts, so that you don't take a long time to learn about something, just like she did learn about the history of art. It was easier that way because it was brought forth.
Okay, we'll welcome one more question as there are two, eh? All right. As you're taking the microphone, probably one thing I would say is I've been lucky to deal with, in film, I've been lucky to deal with trained actors and what they call amateur actors, people that have not acted before. The advantage of working with amateur actors is that they are presented like an empty vessel. Like, it's easier to work with them than with trained actors. Trained actors come with their methods. They believe they know everything. They believe they know how to bring out a certain emotion. When you land on an amateur, you tell them something and they give you exactly that. And most of the times that's what you need.
I'm named by Kalule Herbert. I'm very excited to see you in a big number with good works, good faces, looking good. So, to add on what she has been saying, art is love. The more you fall in love, the more devote me with good and good things coming out of you. So I really want to see you more and more in that love. Because we as gallerists, we are more excited to see the female artist. Because you disappear completely kabisa. Paka kulira bubi. You are here in big numbers, but when we come to female artists, banange, it is really a shaming. We are very excited to see you. You are 5, but please keep on adding and producing. Women, you are too lazy. I'm repeating the statement. Women, when it comes to men and women, banange. That's my statement, but I'm very excited to see you here.
Define laziness. Define laziness.
You don't produce works.
Why? Are you
I
sure?
don't know.
Do you even visit their studios?
We do.
Have you come to mine?
Because you don't say it where it is.
Really?
Just tell me where your studio is. I will come.
You really need a special invitation.
I think that would be an after conversation since you're all here. But one of the things I'm going to compliment, I'll not agree totally with what he says that female artists are lazy. It is an assumption, but I would like to continue saying that the ladies that are here, I was very happy this year when actually, if you're going to look at all the exhibitions we're going to have here as this an art space, we are having more females, more women that are exhibiting this year. And I remember the first time I said, I know they always say, look out for the women, but I'm like, the women are there. Let's create the platforms. We are not going to go and look for them. If the platforms are created, they'll come and take part in them. And this is a testimony. I didn't have to go out and look for these young ladies. No. We put out a call. I think the generation is changing. Maybe before the generation we had, there were issues. But how do we encourage the young ladies? Personally, yes, I am working and I know the challenges of a woman when you're actually working. Yes, I know you're smiling. Let me tell you, you go home, the man will sit, you're all tired and you're supposed to cook, clean, and do everything. And he's supposed to hug you. You see? Oh yes.
And we are the lazy ones.
But remember, you all, and these days we all went out and did work. We all came to the office. No, like if it's if we all come home, if I'm cooking, you should be washing the dishes. Thank you. It is not happening. So, as men, as women, I would like us to encourage ourselves that yes, these stereotypes are not going to change because that's our culture. But then how do you create a balance for yourself? Personally, there's a system I'm creating for myself because I had to create it for myself. I have my dreams. Whether I am married, whether I have kids, I need to achieve my dreams. And that is one thing as women before that had been taken away from us. That when you're in a society or a family or you're married, your dreams cease because now you have to follow your husband's dreams. And you have to follow your in-laws' dreams. But now you need to create a system where you still stay respectful, but then still follow your dreams. So as young female artists, my advice would be know clearly what you want, because the culture is not going to change and it's not going to be in your favor. However, find the balance and still live your dream. So Sebo, Mr. Khaled. We are not lazy. We just have to juggle so many things. And for me, I believe this young generation, this generation that we are working with, I believe we are going to create a different generation because they're seeing some of us, the women, are in the field and we are working and we are creating the platform for them. All right.
Hello. My question is, as artists, how important is community with other fellow artists? How important is it to you? And if at all it is important, how do you go out of your way to seek that community and cultivate it? Yeah.
How important is community? Community is very, 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 very important, because even when you're not currently like active, it's good to know what's happening and basically which spaces are good to engage with, which people, what people are doing similar things to you, how you can work together. It's important to do that with community. And how you build that, I think it's, if you're interested in something, you like this opening, you go to it, you interact with people. If you're interested in learning a new skill, you take a class, you, I don't know, follow them on Instagram, whatever, interact. But yeah, I think it's, yeah, I mean, there's community for community where you know that this is what I'm after, this is what I'm building. And there's community for also just, you know, having friends in the circles and, you know, people who have similar goals and, you know, similar perspectives on life also is, yeah, you finding your tribe is also good. But I don't know if I answered the question or if I just continued. But, yeah.
Okay, to me, community, it's from the community that I'm deriving my inspiration. I'm sure if there was no community around me, I don't know, maybe it would be something else. And I think this is a community. I'm not doing art for myself. I'm doing it for people to get a message from it. So if there is no one to see it, maybe it's my own art, and I'm sure I'm not doing anything. I'm not getting my goal.
Community is very important for artists. We learn from each other, new techniques, new ways of communicating. Like Nicole said earlier, sometimes you think you're going to do something a certain way, but it takes 5 hours, and then someone knows how to do it in 2 seconds. And it saves you a lot of time, gives you a lot of experience. How we meet other artists, openings, open calls, their associations, at school, different ways, yeah.
So community is really important. That's why I guess we're here, and I thank you all for coming. Thank you. Well, we reached out to each other through such cases because I hadn't met most of the people here, but here I am and here you are. So we've gotten to know each other, hence building the community. So always go to such places, having events like this, visit galleries, because when you visit a gallery, the gallery owner or the manager can link you up to another artist who will be able to help you, equip you with a skill, maybe get better. So it's about reaching out. You can't sit home and expect to know everybody. So it's the same as me. I didn't know most people, but since I reached out for the call, I'm here and I've met you and I'm glad.
All right. So I'll close this, but of course, when it comes to community, one of the things I would say is it is very important for art to usually come together, because it's so hard to get those connections without meeting people. Like I was lucky enough to interview Ronex one of the past few days, and yeah, the story is in the Daily Monitor today. Please buy a copy. But so one of the things he told me is that there is a very huge problem with new artists today, like new artists generally, regardless whether they are male or female. New artists today, they do not attend art events enough. Like you usually show up at art events and you're still seeing Tindi. Like I met Tindi when I was barely 3 months in the newsroom. 10 years in the newsroom, and I still meet Tindi at events. And there are new artists that I never met. So at times I'm wondering, where are they getting their connections from? Like, who is mentoring them? Where are they getting their mentorship from? And at times they find you and they're like, I've read about you. You've never written about me. And I'm thinking, I don't know you. So it is very important to actually come to art events when you're an artist, because that's where you're going to find people that are better than you. You will learn something from them. They'll give you the connections you need. Like, it works like that most of the times. So I'll call it a day for now, unless someone has that very important burning question. But a comment. All right.
I also think you should support each other. Like, I've seen so many people here, musicians, artists, that I've just seen from like Nicole's Instagram story. Like, she'll post someone's art and she'll tag them, and you go around and check. People actually go and check, you know, and then they'll follow you. And then like when I come in, I'm like, oh, I know you. I'm like, oh, I know you. But like, I've never met many people. But when I see them in person, I'm like, oh my God, I know your work from like someone tagging them. I think that's very important. Support each other on social media. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. So that's it for today. Those who have not yet seen the art, you can get in, look at the art. Okay, one more thing. I think Dorothy is going to tell you, support artists, buy their work.
And it's very, very okay for me to say that, but I'd like to say thank you so much for coming out in big numbers. And I'd like to add on what she said. I remember telling other artists who were in one of the groups that, you see, I happen to work in different mediums. I work with visual arts, I work with filmmakers, I also work with performing artists. And what I'm not seeing among us, the visual artists, you guys are not supporting each other, especially when it comes to communication. The way the world is going to know you is if you make noise about yourselves. If you do not make noise about yourselves, you see the Nigerians, the Ghanaians, why they are big, why we know them, why we crave when they come in our country. Why? They make noise about themselves. They support each other. Like this exhibition, I expected every artist to post. But I'll go and look, I'm like, hey, hey. So also your exhibition will come and we shall look at you like, hey, 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 hey. Yeah? So, because the art community is not so big, but we need to grow it. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we need to grow the art community, and we have the social media platforms which reach wide. If someone can tap into your market, you'll also be able to tap into your market. Guys, don't think your collectors, if you post someone, your collectors will not buy your work, they'll buy their work. Art is about taste. Art is about taste. If your collector loves your work, it is okay. And if they go to buy another artist's work, it is okay. You shall still get another person to buy your work. Artists, visual artists, start supporting yourselves. Do you see when artists are having performances, performing artists in the mainstream, they're on social media posting whether they like each other or not. But they'll sort out their beef afterwards. But they are going to show one front that if, like today, if we are having an exhibition, everyone in Uganda should know we are having an art exhibition. Ugandans are not very cultured when it comes to the visual arts. Like, they do not even understand what we do. And who's going to make them understand? All of you here have families. Do your families even understand what you do, or why you came here, or how you earn a living, or why you say you work in dollars, and if they support you, you'll be able to support the entire family? You see, yes, it's true, my friend. So the word for today, as we're celebrating women, as we're celebrating our essence, as we're embracing it, ladies and gentlemen, starting today, let us support our own. Let us support our own. Reach out to each other. Post. If someone puts out, next week there's an art exhibition at Umoja. Post. Go. I think we're the one gallery that has been posting other exhibitions. But why don't they post us? So yes, I at least try to share at least, because I was like, no, I would like us to be united. We have buyers. They'll buy what they want. You can't force someone to buy what they want. But then also we need to grow our community. And the only way we can grow the community is with bringing new people. We can't be the same faces. Thank you so much. The artwork is on sale, by the way. We also have catalogs on sale. And we now have a www.zinsonartspace.com. Can you say that again? Oh yes, please. So we have so many artworks there that you can go and check that are not on in our gallery, because we are having so many artists. And we realized one of the ways that we can show more Ugandan art is we have a website that not only shows exhibitions but also other artists. Kindly, if you haven't entered, please come and sign in, buy a catalog and enjoy the art, and you can also ask about the prices. Thank you so much, ladies, and congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're here, post and tag Zenson Art Space on all platforms.